Hi, good morning. Today I want to talk about a very important topic, and it is the topic of internships. Because, yes, if you're a student, it means that you definitely at some point need to either do an attachment or an internship. Now, the difference between the two is actually a story for another day. But today I just want to focus on an internship, which is something you most likely have to do in your third year, but it becomes mandatory in your fourth year from like for most faculties, at least for mine. So, the thing I want to actually mention or clarify firstly is the fact that you actually don't necessarily need to wait for your third or fourth year to actually do your internship. Of course, that is when the school requires you to. But believe it or not, when you get to third and fourth year, you need to at least be ready by your end of, like your summer of second year for an internship. Like if you're not ready by then, it is usually really difficult for you to actually, you know, be job or internship ready by the time you're in your first semester of first year. So, you, the best advice I can give you, you need to actually start preparing for your internship as early as possible. Because there are people who start their internships or find jobs just within their first year. So, this is something that you need to know. While you're learning and focusing on passing your tests, make sure that you're actually converting that knowledge into practical information you can use to build stuff, to create things. Like if you're in, computer science, make sure that you can actually make a website or you have a portfolio by the end of second year. This is something that I wish I actually knew. So start preparing for your internships as early on as possible. This is something that really helps. Now, when it comes to actually finding the internships, it's actually a few sources I can recommend. The first being just go to the dean. The dean is the best place for any kind of information you might want because they know who you need to see. They might not necessarily have the information on, oh, we don't have this scholarship, this internship, but this person might most likely have the information you are looking for. So go to the dean, tell them, I'm looking for an internship. The school has partner companies that they work with. So they usually send some information about scholarships and internships and stuff. And we actually receive mail, like we receive emails about this stuff for most of the time. So just look out for your mail, ask the dean, and even in the corridor. Do you see those information boards? Those aren't just there for decorations. There's actually so much good information on them. So make sure to actually read on them, and you most you will most likely find some good information on them. Last but not the least, you can just do two things. It's actually two things, but it's networking, which is just talking to your peers. Most of them are likely working and they'll give you some guidance on, oh, this is what I did, this is what I did. But the last thing I would recommend is HH.ru. It is something that you can do along whatever way you're trying to use to look for an internships because on there you can just search data science internships and there's a lot. So you just apply to as many as possible and whichever reaches out to you, just make sure that you respond on time. And yeah, it's very possible to find on hh.true. A lot of people do that. So in terms of finding an internship, this is all the information I wanted to share, and if you have any questions, I'll be so glad to answer them in the comments.